everybody. Thanks for coming to the comms call. We can just start with intentions and distractions for the call. My intentions for the call are to just delegate any issues that are on the board. There's like some new issues on there that don't have any owners, so make sure that everybody has stuff to do, as well as just talk about like some of these larger kind of conceptual ideas that are on here. And then I see that there's some other nice things added to the agenda, so basically just get through the agenda efficiently and not very distracting. I'll pass it to Sim.
My intention is to go through the item that I added to the agenda, so just go through the document that I've been chatting about for the last couple of meetings, and then also just catch up on the previous 2 meetings that I missed out on, find out what's been going on and what projects there are coming up that I could get involved in after this document. And distractions, not many at the moment. And I'll pass to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Sim. Yeah, my intentions are to catch up on things, of course, and also I wanted to talk to everyone about just like our content calendar, what we're posting not only on Twitter, but also what is like our overall strategy for comms, because I feel like sometimes we just like play catch up with things, and yeah, I think that the document Sim prepared is nice, that it lets us take a step back. So I think like we should spend maybe some time on that, just to talk about what is our overall strategy on a high level, and then what messages are we pushing out. Yeah, so let me, yeah, and I'm not distracted now. I'll pass it off to Benz.
Hey, say my intentions are to, yeah, just kind of catch up on comms in general beyond what I've been more involved with, which is the onboarding course, and no real distractions today. Feeling pretty focused, so I will pass to. Did we lose Jay?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Hi everyone. My intention for this call is to catch up and share my progress, and I'm not distracted at the moment. And I'll pass it back to Lauren.
Okay, thanks everyone. So I want to leave a good time so that Sim can go through the marketing doc, and we can also talk about like high level strategy stuff. But before that, let's just like burn through the issues that are on the board, and just kind of like make sure that there's no questions on things, and make sure that things are assigned to whoever makes sense. So we'll just kind of do that quickly. Okay. Cool. So I think. Oops. Hey Jay, I actually did want to check in about this the comms onboarding guide.
I have updated the doc. You can have a look and let me know if you need anything.
Is anyone else? Is anyone able to review this? I did review it, but I think it would also be nice for anyone who kind of like came in more recently to Giveth comms, if you could provide like some comments to like the things that you learned and like that you had to do that you didn't know before, and just make sure all that stuff is in the doc. So I see
a lot of
some head nods. What? Jay, you're really cutting out for me. Is he cutting out for everyone else?
Yeah, I can't hear him, unfortunately.
Okay. Jay, we can't hear you. Cool. So maybe I'll just tag. We don't need, everybody doesn't have to review, but I'll tag you guys in this issue, and if you feel like checking it out and just adding some comments in there, it would be really helpful. The purpose of this is really like to help new contributors who come into comms get oriented. So it's like, it would be nice, like, it does include some information about like, you know, about our Discord and about when our meetings are and things like that, but like maybe just like any other tidbits that I think would be valuable to add. Jay's been working hard on that. Yeah. Cool. Benz, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the onboarding video. There are some issues that are regarding the onboarding. Since we don't have the separate call for the videos, is there anything that we need to check in specific or any quick questions that we could clear up about those?
My one on the it's like the how to donate one. Have it through like donating, but I didn't go into like setting up your whole profile within Giveth and like looking at like all your past donations and things like that. Have some video recorded that's like tagged onto the end that I can edit and voiceover and things like that. But I guess I didn't create like a outline for you before I did that, so I wanted to give you a chance to like give some feedback on it. And
Yeah, I left a really long comment. Sorry about that, but I gave a bunch of points that I think we can add to it.
Okay, cool. I'll take a look at this at the video and check out Ahmad's comments to see if there's anything else I'll add. But I will I'll open that now. So that, oh wait, where's the video? It's not here.
It's there, but it's embedded in a link, I think. So it's there though. It's embedded in one of Ben's comments somewhere.
I can send you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Very clear.
Cool. Nice. Okay, so I'll watch this after the call and leave any comments on there. Yeah, other than that, for the video course, it was interesting. Kotavi's comment was good, the review QA. He's like, we should make, oh, I love your shirt, Ahmad. Just noticing that. Love it. He was saying that we should make that like, why even use Giveth to donate video, and I think it would be really nice to, it would be really nice to record that. To get Griff to give an overall, like, kind of vision. I would love him to do that video, so I'll see if I can, like, corral him into making a recording.
Yeah, I think while we're also here, there was one thing, Lauren, that you made something for, which is adding transcripts to the videos. That could also be something that maybe someone here can take on.
Totally. Oh yeah. Why did I do that? Yeah. So, I was thinking, transcripts would be good. But what I was actually thinking was summaries, like little for the captions. So it's like, this video is about givebacks, where you learn these 3 things. But transcripts would be great as well, so that we can have them translated. Yeah. But I can ask Aljean to make transcripts. She's good at that kind of thing. Because you're talking about you'd like to have like subtitles.
Well, subtitles is actually a lot easier now. There's some software that I have that can automatically transcribe it for you, and then we can translate it. So I think probably that part would be super easy to do. And I mean, it would take like 10 minutes per video, honestly. Like the hard, I mean, I guess like the one, it's more just adding a summary that we can add to the video description, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So we're talking about the same thing. I was just like, and you said transcript, so it's like, what?
Oh yeah, I guess it's called.
Yeah. So
for YouTube, sorry.
For YouTube.
Videos for YouTube.
Yeah. So this is that's not what I wanted to open. There's this YouTube playlist. It's like a course that Ahmad and Benz and I have all been working on, and it's like a bunch of videos that explain like how to donate on Giveth and how to set up a wallet, and then like what is givebacks and like how to participate in the program. And it's like, it would be great to have under each of these videos like a paragraph long description that's like, this video tells you about givebacks, which is this, or just kind of like the bullet point topics. So I don't know. It's kind of a good issue for like a new contributor who wants to know more about Giveth, who like wants to jump on something. I'm not sure if that describes anyone here, but does anyone feel like wanting to do this?
Wouldn't be able to do it right now because after this one I've still got that issue that you and I chatted about a couple of weeks ago about the articles with the keywords that I really want to get to, and that, so yeah, I would say yes, but I'm just going to push it to the back of my backlog.
Okay, cool. That's cool. Cool. Well,
what about some of the others that joined in 2 weeks back? Maybe I think it was Alyssa, I can't remember her name, but there was a new contributor. There were a couple at that point. Also Jack, I'm not sure if Jack is a new contributor though.
yeah, maybe I can ask Jack to do it. It might be a good thing for him. I think that's a good suggestion. I'll ask Jack. I'll see if he's down. He's kind of working on Twitter, but he has another tweet that I'm not really sure.
I mean, because also, like, once he has those descriptions, we could use them in a tweet thread later as well, you know?
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah. It would be great. And I think it would be nice, because Jack's still relatively new too, so I think it would be nice for him to like understand the whole system. Elizabeth was like jumping in, like contributing a little bit, but like, yeah, Jack is like, has some hours he needs to fill, so let's give him more work.
Perfect.
Cool. So, anything else on the video course? We're pretty close to being done. Once we have all this stuff done, I think it would be really worthwhile to come up with like who we want to pitch this, or who we want to send this to. We could make a nice tweet thread about it to share about it, but I think it would be like a really useful resource that we could share with, like, I think we should share it everywhere. I think we should maybe send an email especially an email to our donors, and we could include in the newsletter and maybe even do some outreach with it because it's a nice resource.
I have another idea that might make it more interactive is how about at the end we have like a short quiz or something where they answer questions about what was covered, like maybe like a multiple choice or something, and then we can give them like a POAP or something if they fill it out correctly.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. Cool. I feel like they should get a POAP if they just watch all the videos. But I guess, no, the only way we could know, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I mean, if we had it on some kind of a learning portal, then we could just check if they watched it. But if it's just as a link, like there has to be some way that we can check that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that's a really good idea, and maybe even for contributors too, can be a good idea. I mean, as people start joining the Giveth, I was thinking about it because I was in a community, well I am, that it's called Exos, and they implemented a learn to earn model, and then so if you get familiar with their tools, and then they send you some of their tokens. So it's always really nice to have some incentive to go through some onboarding process in any journey you are.
Yeah, I did. I would feel like questionable with the idea of like just giving our tokens out as like incentives to do like courses. Like it's kind of cool, but do we really want to use gift stuff for that? And then we need to bring it to like governance and stuff. The POAP is like, I don't know. I like rewarding people more with swag than like paying them to do something. You know?
Absolutely.
They want.
I mean, it could even be maybe like a Discord role or something, or like something like that also might be cool. Like just to show that, yeah, there's someone that went through the whole onboarding process. I mean, whether it's this course or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I agree. Maybe just something that congratulates them, a badge. Swag might be a bit more complicated to send to people, especially if there's large numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, maybe I'll make an issue about this, and because I'm not even really sure how we could set something up where it's like, okay, well, first we would need to write the quiz, and then we would need like to implement it somehow. So it's like after you finish it, it's like, oh, fill out this quiz. And then at the end of doing the quiz is like when you put in your address to get a POAP, but we need to figure out like the right medium to do that. Because, yeah, unless anyone just knows, like, you can do it easy with this.
I think Typeform would be easy because you can have logic jumps in Typeform, so you could easily make a quiz in Typeform, and then just, you could say if they answer whatever, I don't know, 7 out of 10 correctly, then they get a certain screen, and then it's just like a link to like a normal POAP claim, enter their address, they get the POAP, you know.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. That's an awesome idea. For POAPs, can we like make it so that at any point you could add an address to the list, and it's like it goes into Typeform, and then the POAP system like pulls the address from there, or do we have to like compile the list and you interact with POAP?
I think it's open. I think I've seen other people do it in a completely open way, I think, where like you just input any address and they just have like a limit on how many can be claimed. I think that's possible. I'm pretty sure I've seen that before.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways you can do it, and I'm not exactly sure on the way. I think there's like one way where you basically just like pre-populate a bunch of addresses, and the other way is like it has to be like separate links. So that might be an issue with like if the Typeform has to like give a separate link for each one. I don't know how you'd set that up, but I'm not positive on that either. I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone who has something for this though, you know, like a quiz linked in.
Yeah. I think this is like worth digging around a little. I'll make an issue for that based on this, and then anybody who wants to take it on, could do some digging. I think the idea of having it like a limited amount of mints, like a limited number for the POAPs, and then just like they only get the link if whatever, that seems like a straightforward solution. I can't imagine like, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Someone sends it to their friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone tweets it. You're like, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You know, worst case scenario is done so bad. Cool. All right, cool. So that's a great idea for the video onboarding course. This email is actually ready to queue up. Jay finished drafting the email, and we wanted to. Yeah, Jay, are you?
Yeah, I accepted the changes, went through it one more time, and it's good to go.
Cool. Do you know, or who's the best person to put this in autopilot? I know, Katabi, you were doing some work in autopilot or something, right?
Yes, I have some issues on autopilot, so I can take it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really just.
I can also help with
So
this.
it's an email.
Yeah. Sorry, Lauren.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's a one-time email we want to go out to our donors and project owners.
Okay.
Yeah, let's sit on that, Katabi, because I do have some experience with this, with sending out like the POAP links for the givebacks claim, and I have some idea of how like the list work, so I can help out with this. And then also, if Jay wants to also jump on the call as well, I can show him also, so in case he needs to do it in the future. I think it is like good if multiple people learn.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to.
Okay, awesome.
I'll just add you all to the assignees, and I left a comment.
Yeah.
And there's one more issue regarding the autopilot that I'd like to discuss.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so when someone signs up for the newsletter,
I can't hear you.
It's cutting up a lot.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. I can hear only like that.
It's so difficult with an internet connection because when you're the one, you can't hear that the others are battling so much.
see, that's the thing, I can hear you guys, but
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
we can hear you now.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
yeah, that's strange, right? Yeah, okay. So I made a comment on the autopilot issue. Can you have a look at that? It's just a suggestion.
Is that the one for cleaning, autopilot cleaning?
Yeah. I think on that issue.
Oh yeah, so that, I mean, that can be a new issue, so, add email to, or email subscribers once they subscribe to mailing list.
Because I signed up with 2 different email addresses and I didn't receive anything. So I thought this should be sent.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I just recently got access to Segment, so I'm also going to look into like the triggers and all of the other pending autopilot issues here. So, yeah, I'll have a better idea of why some of them are not sending or why we're getting weird things happening with some of the triggers.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of issues that are like in that autopilot
Yeah.
cleaning epic. So like, I mean, they're not like super rushy, but it's like when we start to figure it out, it'll be great to get them fixed up. So I made that issue into a new issue, and then oh, this is a fun one. I might give this to Suga, but unless somebody else wants to take it. This is like, Griff was saying that he'd love to see this talk turned into a tweet thread, because it's like, a bit long for someone to watch a whole talk, but yeah, it would be great if we had kind of like the tweet thread and we could like share the key points of this talk. This could be a
I
good
can
issue
give it
for
a
Jack
shot,
Mark.
but yeah, okay.
Okay, I mean, if you want to give it a
I
shot.
haven't written any tweet threads in the past, so it would be something new for me. I can try.
Sure.
But
Okay, yeah, if you want to try it. I'll listen to you. Cool. Yeah, and then we also need to add a link, because we just had this new terms and conditions added to our docs. It's terms and conditions for like creating or challenging a proposal in the garden. And we basically need to make like a DAO vote to add this to the covenant. Well, first we need to add it to the covenant in the docs, and then we need to make a DAO vote to add it to the real covenant, which is like creating a gardens vote. This could be a good issue for somebody who wants to figure out like how to do stuff in gardens. But if not, it's like a good thing to pass to Mitch if nobody really wants to learn that.
Can you say that again, Lauren?
Yeah, so the issue, basically in the gardens, there is a covenant, and everyone needs to sign the covenant when they're creating a proposal or challenging a proposal, but we didn't have terms and conditions around creating or challenging a proposal. So the TEC just wrote it, and then we adapted it for Giveth and just uploaded it to the docs. So it's like a two-part issue. One is like basically add that link into the covenant somewhere in the covenant, which is like found in our docs and also in the garden. And then we need to update it on IPFS, which means you need to create a DAO vote in the garden to basically add a link to the covenant in their actual gardens.
Okay. That one might be a Mitch job.
Yeah.
Like learn, but I don't want to hold it up either. So.
Well, I can make it kind of a missed job, but I can also just like help you with it a little bit more if you want to like, if you feel like learning about it and learning about how to make proposals in the garden and a little bit about how these pieces work together, like it would be nice to empower you to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to learn. Yeah, I'm cool with if like someone's doing it. If I can find a way to just follow along or something, that'd be good.
Oh. Cool. Okay. So that sounds good. Otherwise, I can, I think. Okay, cool. Great. So that's everything on the board. There are these first two issues aren't super. We don't have to address them right now. What happens if a project decides to close their account? What's the protocol? Delete all. Disable the data. Taurus wallet is unaffected. Okay. Yeah. So Nicola was asking about this, and Carlos, you're in the call. So on Giveth, a user creates a profile. What if a user wants to like delete their profile? Right now we don't actually have as an option. Do you want to explain this a little bit more, Carlos?
Yeah, it's because it's the first time that I guess this has happened. So there's a project that wants to close their account, and they had some issues with Taurus, but yeah, they solved that. So right now we do not offer in their accounts profile page, I guess, any option to close the account. So like, should we provide that option, or we do it internally? Do we only, let's just say, disable his information and not delete it? Or should we like completely delete all his data? Like, my question would be like, what should we do?
What kind of data is there? I mean, there's like the user's name tied to when they did
Yeah,
donation,
like basic
or...
information, wallet, address, projects, if he has more than one, profile pictures. Yeah. Really nothing too important, but yeah.
Does it create issues if we delete this data? Does it like create any potential, like, could anything potentially go wrong?
Maybe the donations that were created will be pointing nowhere. So maybe we would have to maybe keep the wallet address on, but the rest of the information can be deleted.
Yeah, I think that seems fine. Does anyone have any opinions about this? I know a lot of like apps, when you want to get rid of your profile, you just disable it and can't really delete it. I think Facebook doesn't let you delete it or something.
There a privacy policy that Giveth has for these kind of things. I know it's quite a corporate thing to have, but that would be the only, I mean, if we have to say in our privacy policy that we immediately delete it, we might have to get a legal opinion, because I'm not sure exactly,
Yeah,
but if we say we immediately delete it, or we have to wait a month and then we delete everything, then as long as it's stipulated, then it might be okay.
that's a good point. I know I'm not sure if there are some international laws, something like that, where if someone wants to leave the platform, for example, if they want to leave Facebook, you have to delete every single piece of information. So
Yeah, I think that's the
yeah,
case
Yeah.
in the EU. I think they have laws like the right to be deleted, or I mean, there are some laws like that in some countries. But I think, I mean, if it's on blockchain, we can't delete their donations. I guess just like certain things about them, like their name and email and things like that, maybe.
yeah, we would leave only the wallet address because that's public information. We cannot delete that from the blockchain, obviously.
Mm. But that's also a good point to mention, because it might not be clear, and we might have to stipulate that in our documents to say, of course, if it's on the blockchain, we won't be able to do anything about it, but the data that you give into our system, we hold for X amount of time, and then we delete it, or we delete it immediately, and you're okay with that by signing on. So technically you would need a specific opt-in. We might just need to get someone that knows the legal side of it a bit better.
I mean, also just like on like the dev side, like the database, I mean, something would have to fill in those fields. So yeah, like we would also need to talk to the tech team and figure out what would their process be. Would they, I don't know, put in like null values where those fields were before, or like, I mean, is there like a script they have to run? So like there are some technical things that we also have to worry about as well.
Well, of course. Right now, on the technical side, there is no, let's just say, implementation regarding deleting users. So we would have to write the code or do it manually. So yeah, that's why I came pretty much to see what would be the course of action, or if we investigate first before implementing anything.
Yeah, it seems like, so on our privacy or on our terms of use, it says like, we will maintain this data and like, you know, we have no liability, there's no liability if there's any loss or corruption of data. I don't know. It's like basically like, oh, you put your data in there and we can do with it kind of what we want, sounds like. So that's what it says in our, user data. So I think it's open to kind of like whatever we want. And I think, I mean, if we can, you know, if somebody wants to delete their account, we can just like wipe the profile picture, the email, their website, their YouTube, their name, but leave everything, like leave the rest of the data. So it's like if they were to sign in again with the same wallet address, it wouldn't show their name again. But I don't know, that seems reasonable. What do you think?
If they still sign on with their wallet data, it would just pull up a blank profile, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Can we make it so that like as if, I don't know, would it always show their donations maybe, Carlos? Like if they were to sign in with the same wallet address and they had made donations that weren't anonymous, would it show like all their donations there regardless? Even if we deleted all the other...
Well, the wallet in theory would be the same, so they would kind of like relink the donations to the account. Right now, it doesn't work like that. It wouldn't show his donations, but the idea would be that if he comes back, it relinks the donation. Did that make sense? Because the address is the same, so it will check, oh, these donations have this address, and it's from this user, so he will be able to see again the donation.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just delete their profile picture, their website, their email, and then say like, when you disable your account, like any previous donations you made, like will still be there. Because I think it's better to have the donations not be interfered with, because it's like, you know, affects the project ranking and how much they raised, and I think it could lead to a lot more problems.
I mean, could we just switch it? Could we just switch it to like an anonymous donation, like all of their previous public donations, and then like just wipe their profile? Is that easy to do in the database?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you well. It was cutting off.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, like, if they donated publicly, could we like just add like a flag in the database saying that we want those donations to be anonymous instead, and then we can just wipe their profile, and then it would still show up in the project stats, but it would just be as a anonymous donation.
No, we already have a flag, so it's possible.
Okay.
We can change them to anonymous. But the question is, if they want to close their account, the project is also gone. No.
I think that the projects can't be gone either. I mean, because we don't have it so that you can even delete projects. They still exist even if they're deactivated. It just says this project is deactivated. So if the person deletes their accounts but that they made projects, like, I think it will just say like this project is no longer active. And yeah, I don't think we should mess with that data, because it would interfere with a lot of things. Like right now we're doing retroactive givebacks, and some of the projects that we're donated to were deleted or something. If someone deleted their account, we'd never be able to like see that data and reward those donors, and I think it creates like a lot of potential future problems. And yeah.
Okay, so
like
the approach we can take is more like, well, this is called a discard the user, so it ends up being like hidden. So we will wipe out the basic information from the account, and we will disable the projects, but they remain there so that it doesn't break givebacks and all of that.
yeah.
Can you delete? Can you not? Sorry. Can you like filter those things out just like on the user interface, so that you'd still have the data, underlying data, but just like filter like what you're serving, so that if there was a tag on each like project, it was like deactivated, and then just between like the data set and like the user interface, do it there so that you don't lose any data?
Yeah, we have a flag for projects for deactivating them. We might have to add something for the use, like we also deactivated him or something like that. But yeah, it's possible. So we filter any project that is deactivated so that no one has access to it. But we keep the information so that our givebacks and all those calculations still work. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, the other thing you wanted to say, Carlos, is about giving blocks projects. It's too big?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's growing too much, and I don't know, I feel like I don't want us to become the giving blocks, like 3,000 projects of the giving blocks and only, let's just say, 200 projects created on Giveth. And it's becoming harder to maintain also. So,
Yeah.
and at the same time, if they delete a project on their side, they do not notify us in any way, so we can't know when to delete a project. And writing a script to delete projects that were disabled on the giving blocks would be kind of hard. So we have that process running every 2 weeks, adding new projects. But I'm not sure if maybe we should stop it and do something similar like we did with the other company called Change, where we export manually a project on the admin instead of having a automated process. I don't know. It's just a concern of mine.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. I think that the fact that we have so many Giveth verified projects, that the Giving Block projects aren't adding a ton of value. Plus, like, personally, I don't like donating to them because it's only on mainnet and it's like, you have to pay all this extra gas and I don't know. I'm always like filtering them out. They don't accept give tokens. I don't really think it adds a ton of value for our UI to be like cluttered up with these projects. And plus, a lot of them are just honestly, like, what are these projects? The Decaus Nuns of Our Lady of Mount Carmel? Like, how's that providing public good? It's just like nuns with no shoes. Like, I don't know, sorry. But it's like...
Yeah, honestly, I'm the same way.
Perfectly.
Like, I always filter them out because I can't donate on Gnosis chain. That's like the number one thing is, yeah.
Yeah, I think if it's creating, like, and, I didn't even know about this, of, like, if the project gets deleted, it doesn't show up on our UI. So somebody could be donating to that project, but it's like, where's that money going, I guess it's, I don't know.
They sum it perfectly because they are becoming annoying and they are not adding any value. So
Exactly.
I wanna stop that automated process, and maybe we should clean projects that are really not adding anything to our platform. Remove them and just export projects that, I don't know, important projects that maybe we come to an agreement.
I think this would be worthwhile maybe putting as a forum proposal. I mean, my opinion is like that I think we should probably get rid of them, but it would be good to get like a little bit more advice process before doing that, especially since we have a partnership and a relationship with the Giving Block. Like, we should also communicate with them and we should kind of like go forward with that like gracefully if we do it. So I don't know, Carlos, do you want to write a forum post for that? Or do you need some support?
Sure. I can write something and then send you a link.
Because I think, like, I mean, from my perspective, it's like, oh, get rid of them. And it would be great to get more perspectives from more people in the call as well. But also, we're only the comms team. And, like, this is also, like, a broader governance concern, Or you could just bring it up in the governance call.
Okay. Honestly, I didn't know which call to join to talk about this.
It's a pretty good one. I think people here have good opinions.
Okay. Sure, I'll make the forum post.
Yeah, and I can help you if you need any help.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay, great, nice. So those are the issues from Carlos, and then we've got high-level strategy and the marketing doc from Sim, and I would love to give you some time, Sim, to share what you've been working on, and then we can kind of like talk about how, I think it's going to weave into what Ahmad was saying with like content calendar and scheduling our overall comm stuff. So,
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah, I think that is exactly what Ahmad had mentioned earlier. That's what the aim of the document is. So it's exactly to basically try and consolidate all of the efforts that we put out on all of our channels, try and find out what exactly our goals are, and this largely also for my own thought process to go through finding out who our audiences are. And it turns out we've got a number of them, which is very different to how, businesses usually have one or two audiences. We've got, you'll see, about 6, or even, we've actually got even more than that. So it makes our job a little bit more complicated. But if you just go to that first slide bar, and I'll just quickly go through it just to give everyone context. I know I've gone through this with Jay and Jack and Dan as well. So I'll just skip through it, but essentially it's going through what our marketing goals are, which stems from the overall goal of Giveth, and it needs information and shared opinions along the way. We then just identify who it is that we're speaking to, so those various audiences, and insights, what those audiences would want from Giveth. the messaging and the calls to action that we would be sending out to those people, what we want them to do when they get to the Giveth site, if that's the main hub that we're trying to get them to, what channels we're going to be focusing on for each of these groups, the goals for each of those channels, and then the action points and basically the content plans that would be created for each of those channels that would then lead us towards getting to those goals that right at the beginning. So on the next slide, in terms of the marketing goals, this is from the Giveth document. So what is Giveth? Supporting and rewarding the funding of public goods by creating open, transparent, free access to revolutionary funding opportunities available on the Ethereum ecosystem. And then we need the world to be aware of Giveth. We need to create a larger community. We need to encourage more donors, more charities, and then Dan Katabi actually mentioned more builders, which are, as far as I understand, collaborators, people that are building kind of similar products to Giveth that we can then help each other create this movement. And then the growth of the Giveth token. So taking that and putting it into a couple of overarching goals is basically those points underneath there. So growing awareness in the community, growing our donor base, our charity base, attracting builders, and the Giveth and the visibility of the token and coin. So I just put a note there, charities registering helps the transparency in the ecosystem and more donors, because then we would get more charities. It's kind of like a chicken egg situation as far as I understand. So if you go to the next one. So the 4 key audiences that were identified from this process, and maybe there's more, but donors, charities, token holders, and builders. Those are the 4 that we've identified. With their insights or what they would be looking for, these are what I thought of, but please add more. So donors want that easy donating, transparency, and getting incentives. That's a bonus. Charities, easy registering and connecting. Sorry, it's not too clear, but how-to videos and tutorials, easy reporting, ways that they can market themselves on channels, including sharing heartfelt stories. Builders, so resources bringing their ideas to life. The comms and mentoring, so collaborating with us. Token holders, obviously they're wanting the token growth. And then just a note that these audiences all have different levels of understanding. So this was actually from a call with Melody and Jay, where we were chatting about the different levels. Because we're in the crypto space, everyone's got a different level of understanding, and we termed it as, if you go to the next slide, level 101, 102, 103, 101 being really new to the space. And this affects our messaging, because if we're sending out very technical information on something, we have to understand that it's probably going to be to the 301 people, the people with a high level of understanding. If that's where we feel we're going to get the most impact, get the most donors by having that technical article going out, then that's fine. If we feel we need to make it a bit more simplistic, because actually the donors that we get at level 201 are they're going to be easier to register on our platform, then we need to work at simplifying the content a little bit more, and that would go across our content, Twitter, our articles, videos. So that was just to create that split so that we can see the difference in the type of messaging that we would put out. When I was doing this though, I realized that there are a lot of crossovers between, the 201 and the 301, but we know that we can be a lot more technical with the people in the 301 category. So that was just to go into that split. I'm not going to spend too much time left, because I know that we've got just a couple of minutes. But you can always go through this document. It's open to to everyone. And if you go to the next slide, it is quite wordy. We're only going to go to slide 11 because that's just the kind of the strategy section. But, oh, sorry, if you go back to that slide on the builders, so go, yeah, token holders. So it's a similar sort of structure here, but I haven't gotten to this. So Kabi was busy working on this after chatting to Griff, and we'd be able to spend some time together on this and work out what the messaging would be if we were trying to speak directly to the token holders or to builders to get that collaboration. They would each need different messaging, and it would just be subtle ways that we'd be able to check our content is speaking to those different groups. And then if you go to the next slide, the channels, this is to start identifying where these different groups are and just double checking that the channels that we're busy using, are they actually the channels where audiences that are going to give us the biggest impact, are they there? I think that they are, looking at this, I mean, and we've got more to add here, but in the 201 and 301 group, Twitter, we've now got, I saw Instagram, YouTube, email, you know, maybe there's more platforms that we need to have presence on. And then on the next slide is basically the same thing for builders and token holders, so you can just go to the next one after that. So this is now consolidating all of our channels, and I know this is it's quite a wordy document at this point, but it's supposed to we're going to then distill it into 1 or 2 slides so that people that haven't gone through this whole process with us would be able to just go on to the 1 or 2 slides. These are exactly what we should be saying on which channel. Sorry, my dogs are now going crazy. But essentially this just consolidates what channels we're currently using and what we would be aiming to get our numbers to in the next 6 months. And through this process, we would be able to then just identify exactly what the next steps need to be to attain that. And if we're putting our efforts in the right places in order to funnel people into our website. So I'm not sure if these numbers are correct for emails or for Discord. So I've got a lot of question marks there. But this and the next slide would be to consolidate our current efforts and identify what our goals would be going forward. So I've got all of the channels that we currently use. So I've tried to find all of them. All of them are here, including hosting our events for Meet the Makers. I'm not sure of participants and views, you know, but we would have to fill in that information and whatever other, you know, KPIs we have for those channels. And then the last slide's just got our action points on what we would then do. So from here, what I wanted to get out of this meeting or another workshop, because it does take some time to go through this, is adding any more channels that we use to communicate. So adding them there, choosing the channels that will have the most impact to meet our goals. And I've put in bold what I think, just from a high level, it would be our most impactful channel. Add in the numbers and goals for each of them, agree on the messaging for each channel and audience, and then we do the content plan for each of those channels. So we would do a Twitter plan. What does that look like for 6 months? Because what are we trying to get to? Our PR plan for Medium or our article, how we're going to repurpose those for our email. Are emails going to everyone? Are they just going to donors? Are we going to charities? You know, how do we do that split? What's our YouTube plan so that we can start getting that from 750 to thousands if that's a strong channel for us? And how we can cross promote our existing channels, because I saw Instagram, we do have it, but it's not present on our website, for instance. Maybe it's brand new. Just to do those checks and make sure that it can be put on all of our channels, if that's a strong channel for us. And yeah, make sure we drive people to our website and where we can put those links. We don't have to put it on every single Twitter post, but how are we pushing people to that so that we keep on making sure that those views go up. So yeah, it was a very quick run through, but that's, and there's more in the extras, but that's more to feed into what the planning would be thereafter. So
Nice.
rather just ignore that for now.
I have a couple of
For now, we're
comments.
just concentrating on the first slides. Yeah.
Awesome. Like first of all, thanks for sharing. It's a nice document. So thanks to everyone that helped prepare it.
Sure.
Yeah, so I guess like a couple of comments I have is on the persona side. I think it is important that we split people by who we're talking to and the levels that they're at. But I think some of them could be combined. So like, for example, I think that builders and token holders are not really needed as separate personas. I mean, this is just my opinion. Mainly because with how donors work, they basically get involved with the whole give economy as a whole. So they, as donors, they become token holders, and also they become people that are builders, and they become people that are investors, right? So it sort of all combines together, and it's more just on like the levels of, I mean, if they're like a 201 person, they're automatically someone that's a token holder probably, right? So I think like it could probably be simplified on the donor side. And then on the charity side, I would say there's probably two kinds of projects. There's charities or nonprofits, and then there's projects which are just projects that anyone can start. So I think we should probably make a distinction there between like traditional charities and nonprofits and just any project someone wants to start, and that's a public good.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't even know that was there was a difference there. That's interesting. Maybe there's some articles I can read up to just find out what can be registered. I thought it was traditional nonprofits. You should have.
Well, yeah, that's one area, but I mean, anyone could technically raise money for anything. So, I mean, I could like start a project to help people in my own neighborhood, for example, and I don't have to register as a charity for that, like it could just be a project. So like, that is like another segment that we probably want to cater to as well. But I do like how you split it into 3 sections, which are, people that are beginners, intermediate, and more advanced people. I mean, because I think most of our content, honestly, is more on the advanced side of the stuff that we post on Twitter and other places. So we probably should start thinking about, do we want to post more like beginner or intermediate articles and things that can get people more involved?
Yeah. If that's where we find the most impact, because it's also possible that we find that we're going to just ignore the 101s for now, because there are people maybe that need to be introduced to the whole concept of it, and we're not going to do that learning curve with them. We would rather pick them up at the 201 stage, because it's a lot of effort, perhaps. Maybe on our research or insights, we find that it actually is worthwhile, tackling or speaking to traditional investors or traditional donors, and then simplifying our messages. But that's all things that we would find out from each other's experiences from this. But I like what you said about that we can simplify this, and the token holders are the builders, and yeah. Because I agree with you.
I kind of don't really think that we should. I think token holders are very different from builders. Builders are like people who are like building the website. Maybe they're getting paid in Give, or maybe they're not, and aren't necessarily like token holders is like the broader community of anybody who holds Give. And those people are like interested in both the token price and then also like governance over like the long-term direction of Giveth. Like builders are kind of like, builders would be more interested in things like open source tools that we're providing, or like other DAOs that are like building different things and then are like interested in collaborations, you know, I think that there is actually a distinction between the two of them. I mean, you could try to combine them. There's overlap between all the categories. Like donors get givebacks, become token holders, and then maybe they get more involved because they love Giveth, and then they become a builder. But they are like, I think having the distinction is valuable, especially like when considering like the messaging we're putting out. Like messaging for token holders would be like, this forum post explains like this thing that we're considering that's going to support the token price in this way. Like something for like builders is like, hey, we are offering now like this regen farms thing, this like tooling. Maybe your DAO has a token wants to get on it. It's kind of like a different thing. We're over time, but this was so great, and I really like want to spend more time discussing it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a bunch of comments because there were things that came. I totally agree with like and the charities thing. Like actually, charities. Let's like just get rid of that word. Like because we actually, I mean, we don't have very many charities actually on Giveth. Our focus is more like projects and having it like open. You don't need to be a nonprofit. You don't need to be registered. It can be anybody who's raising funds for any for good cause. So it's like, even like, I don't often say, I say sometimes nonprofits, but normally I say for good projects because it leaves it really general. It could be like some guy making sandwiches for homeless people, which is a very successful project on Giveth. And so I think like it's a super, this is a super great working document, and I want to get in there and like leave a bunch of comments, and I think if other people could do the same, it would be really valuable, and we could kind of like have a little bit of discussion around like I would change this, and like this kind of conversation we just started now, we could have also like in comments in the doc and expand it, because I think it's really, I totally agree that I think that like Giveth Comms hasn't really had a very clear strategy. Like it's like I'm very reactive. I mean, it used to be just me, Mitch, and Ashley hanging out here, and there was no comms team. So it's like, we're like, oh, what do we need to do now? So like, I think now that we're growing, and now that we're growing, like, I think that like coming up with like who we want to target, and even doing like experimental phases, like maybe we spend like a month and we like do something more basic and see like how it affects Giveth, how it affects the token price, how it affects like the projects we have on there, and yeah, I love where we're going with this. It feels very exciting. So like major praise to you, Sim, for putting it together.
Thank you. And yeah, it was also Katabi and Jay as well that helped. So it's the start of a good team effort. I like that everyone's going to be collaborating. I'm very excited for it as well. But on the token holders, perhaps everyone is a token holder, like you're saying, and that's not necessarily an extra target market, but it's messaging that we need to put out for everyone and remind them that because you're in any way involved in Giveth, you're a token holder or something like that. So I'll put that as a comment, and we can just chat about that more in the thread.
We could, I would suggest to leave it separate for now, just because there is a lot of targeted messages, like this whole angel vault discussion and like building a wall to like make sure that we minimize self-pressure of the Give token. This is really relevant to token holders, and also then like anything that comes through the garden governance decisions, super relevant to token holders, but not necessarily relevant to projects. Maybe they care, maybe they don't. Not really necessary to donors, not really necessary to builders. Well, more related to builders, like there is definitely more overlap between builders and token holders some of the time. But it's like having it as a separate idea category for like even for content creation, it's like content creation targeted to token holders, you know, is a category of an audience I think that like we can consider as one grouping, even though it's like a Venn diagram. We'll have like everything overlapping.
Yeah. Cool.
I know we're over time. I also want to thank Seeing Praises for the document. I think it's a great building block and guidance to start these discussions and catalyze these discussions. I think it's very important to have a larger discussion on this. I also have like a lot of comments that I'm not going to make because we're just going to keep on talking about this and it's not the right moment in time. But I think that it's important to have these conversations. And for example, one thing that I do would like to know more, and I think is going to be very important for this discussion, is how ready are we to grow in each of these sections? Because I remember having a conversation with Riv back when we first met, and saying, well, I don't know how many donors were ready to onboard at these moments, because part of the givebacks. It's done very manually at this point. So I think we should talk about this to see, just make sure that we don't fall victims of our own growth at some point, and plan it. Well, I do have those questions, and I would love to have a forum to start those conversations or to continue these conversations.
Add them to the document, and I can always put a slide on that talk that specifies and mentions specific points. And if we have a gathering about that, we can then go through those points and have discussions about those topics. So I think it's very relevant. We need to chat about that.
Right.
Cool. Sorry for taking up the extra time, but
no, it's cool. I do really need to run though, so I'm going to jump out. But thank you so much, Sim. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And I would love to continue this conversation in the document using.
Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.